Read recently that Iron Mike is going to make a comeback. Did you hear about this?
This is what we breathe. This is what we are, and especially someone like Iron Mike Tyson. That's all that man knows. So for him to make it come, for everyone else it's a comeback, but for him it's just what he does. He's a fighter, right?
Exactly.
So, he probably just took a little break. But for everyone else, like, oh my God, Mike Tyson's making a comeback. But for Mike Tyson, it's like, this is what I do. I'm a fighter by nature. So if he's back in the ring, then I would love to see it. I would definitely be one of the viewers, that's for sure.
Do you was he a hero of yours growing up?
That's the man who got me. Do you know what it was with Mike? When I watched him on YouTube, I see a little kid that was 13, and I truly believe, no matter what anyone has to say about Mike Tyson now, in terms of like what he went through when he was fighting and some of the controversies he went through, right? The guy took himself from his neighborhood, which wasn't the prettiest of scenes, up to an amateur champion, to the youngest ever world champion, to one of the most recognized faces of the sport of boxing. Because in my opinion, the only two faces that are recognized in boxing globally is Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. They're the main faces of this sport. So from where he started to where he is now, he is my ultimate motivation. And the reason why I say that is because he's the closest guy that was to my generation.
Yeah.
So he's like, he holds a special place in my heart.
Absolutely.
Those are the words of Anthony Joshua. That's his primary reaction to Mike Tyson recaptivating the boxing world by storm. He is a guy that is making headlines, creating a lot of buzz because of his demonstration of how he hits the mitts, the pads. He's banging them. He's still fast. He's still quick. The reflexes is still there. And this is Anthony Joshua's words. And me counterpunching Anthony Joshua. I got to agree with him with most of what he had to say. Mike Tyson was good at one thing, okay? Obviously, he was in and out of jail, so he really wasn't good at stealing, right? That was just something you did or in the neighborhood that he grew up in, okay? Of course, a lot of people made fun of his voice and stuff like that, so, he wasn't the ideal student or whatnot, but he was good at boxing. He found out how good he was and he went for it. But even that, he had uncertainty. But he was able to overcome because he was actually good at something. And then when you do talk about where he was versus where he's at now, he was able to get out of the places that normal people never get out of. The hood, the barrio, the places like that, the boroughs, whatever, the slums. Wherever you're from, wherever you want to call them, that's what Mike Tyson did to achieve where he's at today. He did, and he was good at doing that particular thing. He was a warlord. And in fact, when Mike Tyson stopped fighting, not too long ago, because I did a video about it, maybe a few months ago, Mike was saying like he felt empty because he couldn't fight, because he didn't have that purpose, that thing he did so well when he was fighting. That's probably what's motivating him to get back to where he is. He says the boxing gods are bringing him back to the sport, right? And now he feels alive. He feels like he belongs somewhere, because that's a lot of time. A lot of things, people only know how to do one thing good. It's hard taking that away from them. And sometimes training is not enough. Like Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather Jr. now. A lot of these guys now have decided to start training and pour their knowledge and experience into these guys, into these newcomers. But some people, need it. Some people crave it. Some warlords die in battle. Why? Because that's what they do and that's what they were good at. Right? So, other points that Anthony Joshua made, if you do think about boxing to a casual person, not a casual boxing fan, but a normal, everyday, average person in the world, where you're in Boston or Bangladesh, okay, you think of two particular guys, not Floyd, but Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, because those are the ideal people, especially you're from the ages of 30 to 50. Okay, now if you're below 30, it might be a couple other names, but in that age bracket, let's say 30 to 60. Why not? Because a lot of people were watching Mike Tyson, even though he was so young. They were watching him as, you know, in their prime, when they were my age, right? When they were younger, because he fought for 30 years. So in that span of 30 years, he got recognized along with names like Muhammad Ali, you know, and even you would even bring up the names like Frazier unless you're a die-hard boxing fan. But Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, those are those key words, those example fighters that come to play and or come to your mind when you're talking about the sport of boxing. So again, you know, he brings it, it motivates Anthony Joshua. Mike Tyson's always been a prime motivator in Joshua's life. And like he said, I will be there to watch for sure, because it's an exciting thing to see Mike Tyson, a legend, get back in the ring, if he cares to do it or not. If he just wants to make motivational videos, to say the least, right? People are going to be there to watch. People are going to be there to spectate, conversate, right? And everything else ain't. They're going to be there, even hate. You know what I'm saying? So they will be there to watch. And it just shows Anthony Joshua, just, you know, another admirer, is also the unified heavyweight champion of the world. It just shows you that everyone, despite what position you're in the sport, right? If you're a fan, a trainer, a fighter, you're still looking at Mike Tyson in awe. Okay? And Anthony Joshua was no exception. But anyway, that's my take on Anthony Joshua's response to Mike Tyson's comeback. Of course, please subscribe, leave your comments below, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.